Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. It's a party. Yes! We are rocking the Alex Mendham band. I love these guys. I'm just blown away, you guys. I love this music so much. If you, again, didn't take my recommendation and immediately go out and check out the Alex Mendham video that I posted a link to, it's in the community tab, you're missing out. Now your new homework is to go check out Alex Mendham. Let Yourself Go on YouTube. Let Yourself Go, Alex Mendham on YouTube. Thank me later. It's just very, very cool. Gideon, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. If you are watching the repeat and you're like, I didn't get notified again, I really don't know what the deal is with that. It seems like the YouTube notification thing is like off the rails. Like everybody seems to be having a hard time getting notified when we are live, and I don't have any idea what we can do about it. So I apologize. I'm just hoping that, you guys have fun watching the replay. So I'll try to make a fun program for you. It's totally unscripted, totally unplanned. My wife was like, what are you going to talk about on there? Like 5 minutes ago. And I was like, I have no idea. I'm just making it up as I go along. I'm sure that my friends here will have interesting things to talk about. I have no trouble flapping my gums, so I'm just going to go with it. So I try to stay hydrated at the same time. So how is everybody? What's the latest and greatest? Tell me what's going on. Hello from Germany, Maximilian. I'm so grateful that you are here. Gideon says, what is your most famous record right now? So I'm glad you've been good. That's awesome. And it's important that you say it right now, because either you know me or you're like me, and your favorite may change day to day, week to week. My favorite record right now. Gosh, that's a good question. There's been so many new records come into my existence lately that it's really, really hard to choose. What have I been listening to a lot lately? I've really been enjoying my new Haunted Mansion picture disc. I posted a short of that, and it's probably the one that I've played the most lately. But all these new Rivermont records I got my hands on have been spinning. I was, as you heard when we started, just spinning one of those. Weezer, yes. Wait a minute, Rain's Place is in the house. I didn't know you were out there. I better be careful what I say. The lovely, talented, incredibly beautiful, and quite humorous producer and life partner of mine and best friend, love of my life, Rain's Place is in the house, and not coincidentally, Ahmad as well. Yes, I haven't been listening to my Weezer record though. Let's see here. I've got it. Weezer's in here somewhere. Hey, let's look at this record. This is a good record. This is like the only grunge record I have. This is the only retroactive nostalgia record that I have. I've been listening to, she's right, I've been listening to a lot. Stone Temple Pilots, Core album, Purple, things that I didn't really totally dig when they were cool and new. But I remember them being in the background. I did have the Weezer album. I also had STP's Purple. So I do actually remember those. But this is the only record that I've obtained. This is the Target exclusive. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous pressing on this marbled blue sky, white and blue vinyl. This is a very, very, very good pressing. Nirvana to a degree as well. Absolutely. But here's the thing. The bands of that genre and that era that I don't like the entire album's worth of songs. This one, there's quite a few songs on here. My Name is Jonas, I like. Buddy Holly, obviously. Undone. Say It Ain't So. So there's a bunch of songs on here that I like. The other ones, I feel like there's maybe 2 or 3 tops. So I don't know if it justifies, kind of beyond a mixtape, which is what I've made for myself, for my own personal use. And that's kind of, satiating that itch, as it were. By the way, if you saw the thumbnail, before I put it away, purely just as a visual weenie, as they say, um, is something to grab your attention. I just had this in the thumbnail. This is my $1,000 record. This is $1,000. If you were to go buy this record today, it would cost you $1,000. This is the Big Green Cherry record, which is really interesting. Like, it's Buddy Holly's Fire. I'm going to remember that next time you're saying, you have to turn that up so loud. So this is a band that contacted me and a bunch of other, vinyl YouTubers and said, hey, we've got a record coming out. Can we give you a copy? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And obviously they're trying to promote it, which is fine. So it's autographed, and the record, I got to put the record somewhere. It's $1,000 record. I can't just like set it down carelessly, right? We'll set it over here on the LP70. There's the back of it. Now, if you open it up, and that looks kind of like a game board, that's no accident. So, is there something else in here? No, it's a gatefold record. It's only one disc, but they also give you a little pouch of game pieces because there's a game included, and they have game pieces, all these different color game pieces that are band members. So that's cool. And you get a free shirt, although I never got my free shirt. Every year, the deal was you were going to get a free shirt a year. And yeah, so it's mostly just an interesting thing to say, hey, I actually have $1,000 record. And if you go on their website, which looks largely inactive now, I'm not sure if they're even still a thing. Not just because I never got my shirt, but because there just doesn't seem to be a lot out there, new stuff or information about this band anymore. Hopefully they made it. But all of the records that they sent out to date, and I don't think they, I think there was more that they're planning on sending out, but they, what am I trying to say? They're all registered, so you can see who got each one. And I'm on the list there. But yeah, I haven't seen it or heard from these guys. I hope they're doing good. Every once in a while, a new and upcoming band says, hey, we sent you a record. And it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. But like I said, recently, it's going to be very hard to find a place to put said records. But anyway, that's what the record was on the thumbnail, in case you were wondering. And we have played it. I've used it for test music a few times. I'm Maximilian about Tecmo. Me too. He sounded better in his last video. I'm glad he's getting better. Yeah, he is cool. I have never heard of those speakers before, Izzy. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. Interesting, though. Hi, May. Welcome in. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened to him. He got ill, he said, and I am not sure what the details were on that. I don't know anything. But it sounds like he's on the mend, so I'm grateful for that. Praise God for that. Red, white, and bluegrass. I'll have to look them up. That sounds cool. I like bluegrass. Absolutely. Gideon, I've heard of that. Oh, Magical Mystery Tour. You can't go wrong. Magical Mystery Tour. That may be my second favorite Beatles album. I was actually thinking about this recently. I've been toying with the idea of doing a poll on the channel of everybody's favorite Beatles album. I think mine is Sgt. Pepper's. I've come to decide that I think I like every song on that album. I think that's my favorite. What are some records you gave away or lost that you wish you could get back, or maybe one that you regret leaving on the store shelf? And you know what I call when you walk away, when you see a record, maybe you're carrying it around the store, you're holding it, and ultimately you don't get it, and then later you come to regret that choice. I call that reverse buyer's remorse. Reverse buyer's remorse. So it's like you're sad that you didn't get it. That happens to me sometimes. Now, my wife will know that I'm going to do that. So if I'm hesitant about something, she's able to look at it and be like, um, she's able to look at it and be like, oh, you're probably gonna want it. Just get it. You're gonna want it. So, but like I said, I have to slow down. I have run out. I've been saying for years I'm running out of room. I have run out of room. I am out of room. I have no space for records. You may be saying, well, what about all the record players? That's different because I've got a way to manage that. So that's separate. But in terms of record storage, it's up to here. It's up to here. It's no accident that they're eking into the shot because they're everywhere. I've got all of my crates full, and I kind of leaked the amount of records that I own. I've been purposely cagey about how many records I own because I thought initially when I had like 100, like that was like, wow, I'm watching a YouTube channel about records and the guy only has 100 records. Now I've come to realize that's not necessarily a bad thing or anything that would make me think twice about somebody. It just means that they don't want to have a lot of clutter because these things have a tendency of just, growing and growing and growing. Well, my collection, and I remember when I started this, I was like, oh, it'll only be a few records like this on the shelf. I'll just have, a little record player and a few. I'm trying to sell the idea of getting into vinyl. This is a couple years before Record-ology. And I'm not going to switch to vinyl as my primary, sound format. I'm still, I'm just going to, this is what it's a small collection, just maybe 5 or 6 Glenn Miller records. Fast forward, 8 years, 10 years, actually, probably 10. Wow. And I'm busting from the seams. And I thought, well, just purge, because everybody talks about purging records. But it's been pretty well purged. There are things, I could probably come up with a good 50 to 100 maybe records that could be purged that are in the collection. Maybe not 100, maybe 50. Probably 50 would be pushing it. I think 50 would be the maximum that I could purge. And but besides that, it's pretty well tuned in. I mean, these have been, birthday presents. They've been Christmas presents. They've been records I've selected. And I love what I've got, and I enjoy it. I don't need to have the world's biggest record collection. I don't want to have the world's biggest record collection. I never will have it. There's always somebody who I'm not like, just hoarding it to hoard it. These are songs and albums that I love, music I've discovered, music that I've always loved. And exactly. 5 or 6 records. And that, yeah, I got records. The crates are full. The record crates often have little piles of records leaning up against the crate. Do you ever get that? I've got them like squirreled away in little cubbies. I've got records in storage. I've got a shelf that the first third of it is DVDs and Blu-rays, shelf full of 7-inch, another shelf of 7-inch over here, 2 full shelves of CDs and tapes. Crates are on the floor. Crates are on tabletops. I got too many records. That sounds like a YouTube channel. So here's the number. I think I've got approximately, I didn't count one by one, but what I did is I counted like what 10 inches of records looks like for me and then multiplied it by measuring. I think I've got around 1,100 LPs, 12-inch records. I have 2, probably like 1, 2, I'd say 3 shoe boxes worth of 7-inch. I've got a probably an equal amount of reel-to-reel tape. I've got probably 30 to 50 cassette tapes, probably 200 to 300, probably 300 to 400, 300 CDs. Let's say 300 CDs. I've got probably 10 to 15 box sets. And I've got a shelf of this much 78s. And when we moved here from Denver, I purged the 78s considerably because there's a lot of stuff in there that was interesting, historic, but I would never listen to it. Now it's all, big band, vocalist, Frank Sinatra, Glenn Miller, stuff like that. So that's kind of a peek behind the window. I am just full up. And am I going to buy records, more of them? Yeah, I am. I'm going to buy more records. I haven't learned my lesson, but I'm going to really try to be selective. I'm going to really try to be selective. I'm going to have to get the Patsy Cline Record Store Day release. That's going to hold me off for another month. Is that next month? Yeah, like April, well, whenever Record Store Day is, mid-April. Then I may also pick up, there's a Snoopy. I like Snoopy records. There's a Snoopy Easter record on lavender vinyl that I've got my eye on. Then there is another Glenn Miller limited edition CD coming out. If you got the first one last year, Volume 2 is coming out. So if you're a Glenn Miller fan, like never heard before stuff, restored to a level you've never heard of before, and that's coming out in like June. So I will have to get that as well. That's the only thing on the radar right now. There's like a knit in here or something. I don't know where that thing came from. It's like Florida, right? So they come in, they follow you in. Okay, so anyway, there you go. I'm gonna turn the fan on. It's got stuffy in here. I got a little fan here. Show us your 3-inch records. You have the little crate to put them in. Okay, I'll be right back. I found the record players. Where are the records? Are they down there? I don't know where the records are. They gotta be down there. Are they down there? They might be in the studio. Okay, we'll start by showing you the record players. I have 3. Do I need 3? Absolutely not. And by the way, somebody asked earlier, maybe it was you, new 3-inch records coming out. There's always some new set, probably for Record Store Day. I haven't talked to my contact that is involved with all 3-inch stuff in a while. So I need to touch base, see what the latest thing is. Every year they do, like last year it was the Beatles 3-inch records. Okay, so here's the Crosley RSD 3. And this format revival, what was the original one called? Something band. 8-band? The 8-band format and the 3-inch format revival approximately 15 years later. These are all made by or designed by the same people. Like this is, I don't know if it's made by the same company, but this gnat, what the heck? This freaking gnat. I never have a gnat. Get away. Dude, what the heck? It's going to be the death of me. I think he's swarming in my face. Okay, so here's the 3-inch RSD 2019. Are you looking for the records? I think they might be in the studio. They weren't in that? In that little white case. They're not in here. This gnat is killing me. They're not in here, I don't think.
I have one.
You have one?
I
hope we have more than that.
Well, in my case. But...
Oh, yeah, you got a little case, too. Do you have like the little miniature record case?
Yeah, that's one.
Oh, okay. I'll show that one. It's got to be around here. We'll keep looking. Anyway, so this was the first one. Built-in speaker, runs off batteries or USB, 5-volt, headphone jack, magnetic cartridge. Got an Audio-Technica 3600L on there. The problem with this format, and my personal opinion is it's always going to be a novelty format. It's never going to be like a legit listening format, is because of the fact that the wow and flutter is always bad. Now, they are not, oblivious to this fact. So they have done something about it. There's an updated version. It's a Record Store Day 2020. Same exact thing, but clear. I'm a sucker for clear stuff. You can see inside it. Okay, where was it?
It was on the shelf in there. Sorry.
In the studio? Oh, in the other room. Okay, yeah. Got you. Okay, we got records to look at too. Thank you very much. And it's the same exact thing, but it's clear. I'm a sucker for clear stuff. I don't think of it as prison tech because in the 90s, it was just cool to have clear stuff. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't in prison. So anyway, it's got a real pitch slider, same magnetic cartridge. So the reason why their estimation of why the problem of the wow and flutter was happening had to do with the spindle size and the adapter. Because when you're dealing with a small record like that, 3 inches, the tolerances for wow and flutter are much more, they're finer. They're like, you can't have, it has to be much more precise when you're dealing with a small record. And it's interesting how they make the records too, which is different than you may think. So what they did is they increased the size of the little adapter. Now, why do they have an adapter? Why don't they make this bigger? Well, the original 8-band records, like the Japanese records, use this small spindle hole because it looked, from a size comparison way, it looked like an LP, just miniaturized. You know what I mean? It like fit the part. But instead of making the hole on the record that big, the newer records have a large hole. So now you've got this adapter. Well, it turns out the little adapter was just a little bit too small. But if you make it too big, then what happens is it doesn't rotate because there's not a lot of surface area to grip the record, and there's not a lot of weight with a small vinyl record to hold it down. So this ended up becoming a very precise. In fact, if you were holding two of them at the same time, you could never tell the difference. So they made a freaking nit again. They made a different sized one that is more precise, and that's how they fixed that problem. It got better. It is not perfect, but it definitely got better. I think that's a really cool looking unit. Then they came out with this a few years ago, and actually this was 2020, so this would have been when we were out at CES. They were announcing this. This is a cruiser, a Crosley Cruiser Mini, like a micro-sized Crosley Cruiser. Look at that. And it's got the same like little speakers on the front, little metal things, the hinges. It's a suitcase player, miniaturized, and just like a cruiser, it's got a ceramic instead of the magnetic. Now, ironically, in this case, I think it's better to have the ceramic than the magnetic, because the magnetic is a precision, thing, whereas the ceramic is much more tolerant. It's less compliant, it's stiffer, it's heavier, and in this case, it works better. So this is actually my favorite of the three. We still have a real functioning pitch slider. I think this thing has Bluetooth or something. I'm not even sure. Yeah, this has Bluetooth as well. So that is the extent of my 3-inch record player collection. Now, I should say new ones, because I do have some retro vintage record players that will play 3-inch as well. Probably better than these, honestly. Okay, what about the record? So when they came out with this, you could also get the matching record case. So this is a little miniature record case. Let's take a gander at the records. That's all the 3-inch records I have. Do I need any more? Absolutely not. Am I going to get any more? I might pick up a couple. One that I've really wanted and I haven't been able to get my hands on is it was a Japanese song that was huge, Sukiyaki. It was huge in the 60s. All right. First, I want to show you a couple custom records. Well, no. First of all, this is one of my wife's 3-inch records, Nora Jones, Christmas. So these records, the way they're made, it's really, really interesting. It's actually, these are one-sided. Not all 3-inch records are one-sided, but these ones are. This is actually a disc of ABS plastic, which is too soft and too non-audio grade to be used to actually press grooves in. You can see there the reflection. It's just a smooth piece of ABS and the little flash marks there from where it was molded. But the other side has the grooves, and this is actually a thin layer of vinyl, and it is layered on as a composite. So the ABS is a substrate forming the shape and the rigidity of the disc, and the vinyl is put on as a layer. It's thicker than a slip sheet, than a sound sheet. What are those things called? Flexi disc. Thicker than a flexi disc, but less thick than a regular vinyl playing surface. So it's somewhere in between. 33 RPM. You can't quite fit a full song on here, so most of the songs are truncated. It's a novelty, right? You're not going to be like, this is my only copy of this song. I just don't think anybody would do that. Even if you're, connecting the headphone jack or the Bluetooth into a bigger sound system. Oops. Sorry, honey. Didn't mean to drop you right. But yeah, that's how they're made. And so I asked the question about how these are made, and what I learned is that centering the playing surface, the grooves on this is a very, very difficult thing, which if done incorrectly can add to the wow and flutter that these are kind of inherently born with. Welcome in, Second Chance. We just got started a little while ago. We're just talking about 3-inch records. So what they do is they actually punch out, my understanding is they punch out a 7-inch disc, and the 7-inch disc has the playing surface. So it's actually originates as a larger disc, and then they're able to punch it out because you can't just press it into this size to begin with. It has to start life as a 7-inch disc. So it's kind of a complicated thing. But yeah, there's Nora Jones. I love how these things come with little paraphernalia. So this is a custom one that was made for me by Fardamark, who makes all this custom stuff. And somebody asked the other day, like, can this guy, I want him to make stuff for me. And he just doesn't do, he just doesn't sell his stuff, which is a bummer. I think he should, but he's got so much talent. Anyway, this is a replica Glenn Miller Bluebird record, miniature and fully operational. This will play. You may be saying to yourself, gosh, that looks somewhat familiar. What is that? Well, it's actually a compact disc. This is a 3-inch CD. It's the same size as a 3-inch record. And yes, the hole on a CD is the same size hole that's on a 3-inch record, a modern one. So this is literally just a 3-inch record, a 3-inch disc, and it's embossed. He's got a Bell lathe that embosses records. So sound quality, it's not about sound quality, it's about the novelty factor. He also made one and these little replica sleeves as well. Three Stooges sounds. Okay, so let's see, what do I got? I've got a bunch of these Charlie Brown Peanuts ones. They're on black vinyl. I did get the Sun Records. So I've got Roy Orbison. These are cool. Sun Records with a miniature Sun record label. These also have a fold-out poster. Usually 3-inch records have fold-out posters as well, or some kind of something. So these came with a poster of the artist and some liner notes. It's fun. It's really cool. I think it's really, really cool. And a little sleeve, a little record jacket. I've got a 4-pack of these Disney records. These are cool, true to Disney style. They are pressed in colored vinyl, each one a different primary color. Another of the Peanuts. Here's the Carl Perkins one. Here's another poster that came out of one of the Sun Records ones. Let's see who it is. There's Carl Perkins. So Beatles, I got the Beatles set from last year. These sold out initially. I had to wait till the second round before I get them. Now, I want to point out something. What the heck? What am I looking at there? Do you see something different? Look at the spindle hole. What? The spindle of this is very familiar. Doesn't that look familiar? It's the size of a regular LP spindle hole. So I think they sort of toiled with the wow and flutter issue with the adapters, even the upgraded model, and they were like, screw it, let's just put on a regular spindle. At least it'll fit. So this will play on a regular record player. If you have a manual record player and the arm makes it all the way to the spindle, you can play this now on any record player. Also, they've come out with a sleeve, which I currently have on this guy right here. So it's a little black sleeve. So right now, that sleeve makes the spindle perfect for playing this. And this record is now backwards compatible with a regular record player. And then I can always pull this sleeve off, this little plastic sleeve. And now we've got the original 8-band size spindle. So 3-inch record players, it's a weird thing, right? So yeah, I got the Beatles ones. There was a 4-set. Till There Was You. These sound remarkably good. I would say they're probably the best 3-inch records. Here's the Johnny Cash Sun Records. I think there was a 4-pack of Johnny Cash. Little Mermaid on green vinyl. Another Johnny Cash. Whole New World. Another Johnny Cash. These all have posters too. Another one from the Charlie Brown set. Jerry Lee Lewis. He just passed away recently. This is one of the first ones I got. This is a Post Malone record. It's cool because it is on this amazing green. Another Charlie Brown one. I'm going to save this one till the end. A couple more Beatles. These are the other 3 from the Beatles set. All right. Another Post Malone one. These aren't pressed on colored vinyl. They're just black vinyl. This one has a poster of some sort. It's been so long since I opened this up. It's fun to just have artwork and stuff, you know? Usually the new 3-inch stuff comes out around Record Store Day. There's another postie. This one's on red vinyl. Not a huge Post Malone fan. There's another one, Bay Dream. This was a gift from Bartamark 2. And a couple more Johnny Cash's. And then finally, my one and only original 8-band record from Japan. This is really cool. Not only is it on colored vinyl, it has a terrible scratch on it, which is, you'll see what I mean. Look at this size. Look at this scratch. It's brutal. But look at the hole. It's got the original Japanese micro-sized hole. This is really cool. Apparently this is some show or something from the 70s. And it's got like this card here, which I can't read, but it's interesting. And it's got like a comic that comes with it. Pretty cool stuff. But I'm never like, man, I got to listen to that 3-inch record. So for me, it's been about the show only. Like I've played them on the show, and that's about it. So there you go. 3-inch records. Now you know. That's all my 3-inch records as far as I know. Oh, these are great comments. You guys have been having your own show while I've been blabbing in the background. This is good. April 12th this year. Thanks, Ty. Yeah, the peanut set is awesome. Exactly. Why have one when 3 will do? Can you do a top 7 turntables for under $200? You know what? I have a book. It's all about revealing behind the scenes stuff. So I have a notebook here. My little black book contains show ideas. And show ideas can come from anywhere. So I'm going to add your suggestion to the list right now because I will forget. If I have a pen. Do I have a pen? Of course, if I have a pen, it's going to be a Mickey pen. What'd you say? Top 7? Sounds good to me. Under 200. All right, it's on the list. We'll do it. I've done a lot of shows of like top 5, top 10, cheapest, best, but it's been a little while. So I think it's time for another one like that. So thank you for the suggestion. Chris says, just got my first Beatles album. It's a U.S. pressing of Revolver. Nice choice. Probably one of my favorite albums by them. It's so cool. That's really cool. So when I started my Beatles journey just a couple of years ago, I had the Beatles #1 on CD. And a long time ago, I had Anthology 2 when I had no idea what that even was back then. It's kind of silly when I think back. I didn't know I didn't know. I just thought it was a set. I didn't know anything about it. And I was like, I asked you guys, I'm like, where do I start in this world of Beatles records? It's so overwhelming. And you guys are like, get the Red and Blue album. It's sort of like the greatest hits, and it's a great starting point. So I did. I got the Red and Blue as dirt cheap as I could find it, and which I eventually, those records got moved to my son. There's an answer to the question of what do I do with all these records. My son, who's recently got into vinyl, is getting care packages from his dear old dad. Hopefully he likes most of them. Anyway, and then I picked up the box set, which I have right back here, the 2023 edition. I bought this from the Beatles store, 2023. It was really exciting to be a part of the hype. And it's got the extra record for each one, so it's a 6-disc set. And I like it. Overall, I think it's better than the original. There's a couple of songs, like Don't Let Me Down, that I don't like the new mastering on, because on Don't Let Me Down, they totally brought Billy Preston down in the mix, and you can't hear his keyboards hardly at all, and that was like what made the song for me. But anyway, overall, there's a couple songs like that, but overall, it's fantastic on Red and Blue vinyl. And I kind of went to town picking up albums, and what I ended up finding out was that there was 2 camps. You know, there was the U.S. Beatles records and the UK records, and that they were all standardized in the 80s when the CDs came out. So I ended up kind of leaning more towards the UK stuff, and that's what I've got. So all of my records, for the most part, are on Parlophone, EMI. So like this is my Hard Day's Night. It's a Parlophone pressing, and that's just kind of been my preference. And I know that they can be different. Like there's different track listings in some cases. Sometimes there's more or less songs. See how dusty? I need to dust that thing, which is weird because I've dusted it a million times, cleaned it. But that's the label that most of my Beatles records are. And I didn't get everything on LP. I didn't just like go buy every. I've got about half the albums on LP and the other half on CD. CDs are largely used. The LPs were largely new. I also have a handful of Beatles 7-inch records, which I don't think sound that good, honestly. And recently was gifted some US pressings, which I had never had before. So yeah, I love that. That's really cool. What replacement needles can I put in my AT6? AT6. Who makes the AT6? Or is that a cartridge? They have Sabotage on 3-inch. I might have to get that. See, that's the problem with me saying no more of this, no more of that. I may have to get that. I love Beastie Boys. In fact, I've got some Beastie Boys right here. I do. Yeah, right here. This is my son gave this to me. My favorite, I think, I kind of grew up with the Paul's Boutique album. Check out this gatefold. This is cool. So it's got the Def Jam original. It's a paper sleeve, but it's a cool one, so I kept it. The disc is a weird kind of skin color. More like kind of a clear, unpleasant color. But check out the gatefold picture. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, Paul's Boutique is really my era. And then my friend and I just devoured, what was it? Ill Communication. The one with Intergalactic on it and all that stuff. We listened to like Sabotage, all that stuff, man. That was my era. But again, except for maybe Paul's Boutique, I don't know if there's an album of theirs that I would like every song. There are like a handful of songs and on each album. So I kind of like the greatest hits approach to Beastie Boys too. The more modern stuff they did, I didn't know any of that stuff. Not that it's bad. I love the song they did with David Letterman where they filmed it out on the street and they're coming up out of the subway. That's really cool. Yeah, I read them and respond, but I'm always behind. So that's the problem. Sorry about that. I have a Glenn Miller BMG cassette with Dolby S. Is it like Lost Recordings or Secret Broadcast? I have like volume. I have like the second tape of that set, and it's like it also looks like it's on magnetic or magnetic. Yeah, it's on magnetic tape. It's on metallic tape. It's pitch black, but it's in a cassette shell that's a Type 1 tabbed, so it'll play a Type 1 EQ, but it's high quality. But I don't know if it says Dolby S on it. I did do a show. I picked up a Sony Dolby S deck a few years ago on the channel. We reviewed it. I kept it for a while and then passed it along. I'm not a huge Dolby fan. Isn't that weird? Like most people, like that's you have to be in. If you like tapes, you have to like Dolby. But for me, it dampens it too much. It takes too much of the high end. I'd rather have some hiss and retain the full high end. So Dolby B is as much as I can go. Dolby C, even on not good tape, like I'm talking like chrome tape, metal tape, a good machine. Tried it on multiple machines. It's just my opinion about Dolby sound. I've also done a lot of videos on Dolby, but usually I prefer to record my tapes on Type 1 with no Dolby whatsoever. I do like the HX Pro, and that's only needed on recording. Doesn't need to be decoded, but no Dolby for me. So I wasn't a huge Dolby S. I had one metal tape at the time, and I was like, yeah, it sounds pretty silent like a CD, and it was okay to me, but I wasn't like over the moon about it. Three-inch vinyl and Jack White. Yes, he was involved, I think, at some level. Oh, that's cool, Sub Rosa. I'm glad to hear that you learned about 3-inch that way. Can you imagine if they could make it high quality? Like, okay, here's what would be cool. I mean, they are cool, but if they could like put a whole album worth on here, have it sound as good with no wow and flutter, this format would be really sick. Like you said, in a car slot loading or like a little mini disc player type of thing, play your vinyl in a very convenient form factor. That would be sick. That would be incredible. Richie, welcome in. Sorry I'm behind on comments. I always am. I do get to the comments. Yeah, the 3-inchers with the normal holes is new. So I don't know what they've released in that newer version of it since Beatles, but that was last year. So I'm sure everything since then, but I'm not sure. It's cool. You can get the 3-inch players for 50, 60. Used, you can probably get them 30, 40 bucks. Just remember, it's a novelty. It's a very cool novelty. That's about it. You're never going to be like, man, this LP sounds great, but nothing like the 3-inch version. Nobody's ever going to say that. Anthron of Fire. That's a cool name, dude. Don't have to send me anything. We're not doing any more. I have said that I just am so overloaded with records and gifts. You guys have been so generous. I don't want anything anymore. I appreciate it. I use it. I listen to it. I'm giddy with excitement about the gifts, but I honestly have no room for any more media. And I hated to do it, but I had to put kind of close the door on that because I just have run out of room. And I don't want to not give the appreciation that your gifts deserve. And you're so generous, but rather than giving to me, maybe find somebody else that could really appreciate it and have room for it, or, just keep it. I want you guys to obviously enjoy what you have. You're so nice to give us so much stuff. It's so nice. Are the UK versions of the Beatles albums more super mono instead of stereo? It's a mix, I think. I don't know if the U.S. versus U.K. are stereo or mono by default. That's a good question. I personally like the modern stereo mix is best. And I know I don't like split track where you've got the voices in one side and the music in the other, because that wasn't designed for listening purposes. Split track stereo is for mixing, so you can blend it. And I don't want to do that either. I want to just listen to the thing. Mono, it's fine, but I'm not like, oh yeah, I gotta have the mono version. I know a lot of people swear by Beatles mono. For me, I like stereo mixes that are not split track. That's my preference. Yeah, Hello Nasty, that's another good one. Oh, I've heard of that, Ty, the instrumental album. Interesting, William. So you're on board with me there? I remember at the time we were fighting hiss. It was like, hiss, gotta get rid of hiss. I can hear the hiss. Oh my gosh, there's hiss. And now it's like, who cares? It's like a little snap, crackle, and pop on a record. It's supposed to sound that way. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Maybe it's 20 years of sterile perfection of streaming music, digital audio, that just has made us realize, like, background noise, is it really that big of a problem? I don't know. It doesn't bother me. Some people can't tolerate any sound coming from their records except for music. If there's any crackle, if there's any pop, then they just don't like it. And I'm just not like that. I don't like dirty records that are dirty for no reason, but my records are clean. They're deep clean. They're ultrasonically clean, or they're spun cleaned. And then I use the carbon fiber every play. I clean the stylus. I want that record as clean as possible, but you're never going to eliminate all the snaps, pops, and crackles, especially when you listen to vintage music like I do. These old records can be as clean as anything, and they are, but they'll still have snap, crackle, and pop because the vinyl breaks down. There's hairline cracks. There's little imperfections. Personality. You know what I mean? If I want a sterile, perfect rendition of something, there's a million ways to do that, but sometimes it's worthy to just listen to it as is, and that's what I prefer. Oh, interesting about the Pink Floyd. That's cool. I got to check that out. Again, Pink Floyd and their Dark Side of the Moon, obviously iconic, and I do like the Dark Side of the Moon Project Turntable, but I one or two songs I would recommend. I don't dislike it. If it comes on, I won't turn it off, but it's just not one of those bands I would go seek out to listen to. Beatles by 101 Strings, that doesn't surprise me. They did a 101 Strings version of everything. That's funny though. There's also like nursery rhyme versions. Interesting, Janet. Maybe if I get a better deck, but honestly, I never had a Dolby Walkman as a kid. And I'm used to the hiss. I never had a component tape deck player until I was a teenager, probably. And even then, it was an all-in-one built into something else. Even my Sony boombox I had as a teenager, I don't think it had Dolby either. Maybe I'm just used to not having Dolby. Now, my Yamaha, beautiful. I believe this to be in perfect condition. KX390, kind of a mid-range, 1996 era Yamaha natural sound, Dolby B and C. It's got HX Pro. It's got the MX filtering for FM radio recording. Incredible deck. Dolby B is as much as I want. And I will only do that if the tape is recorded in Dolby B or C. And, I just feel that it would sound a little better. But it's got a play trim, sort of a little bit of a tonal control with the play trim. And it's also got a manual bias control, which I just leave zeroed out. But with the play trim, I can brighten it up a little bit. So if I do Dolby B, I'll put Dolby B on and then turn the play trim up to about 75%. And that's really good. It kind of kills off some of the muddiness and really makes it sound good. But, if I'm making my own tapes, which I do, do I have any of my handmade tapes up here? No, I don't. But they will be zero Dolby. I'll take the hiss. And then it's kind of fun when you're not using Dolby, because you can kind of experiment with tape formulations. Because if you're not using noise reduction, the amount of hiss or lack thereof is determined by the tape formula. And like I've always said, if you have cheaper tape formulations, they're more brown, and you'll probably have a little more hiss. This isn't a rule that applies in all cases, but largely speaking, in my experience, cheaper tape formulation is a lighter, browner color. The better quality tape is a darker, deep brown, if not black. And if you get some of that really good stuff, some of that Maxell UD tape, even at type 1, you can have almost no hiss. And I like that. I think that's more fun to play with than electronically doing it. By the way, if you don't know how Dolby works, check out our video on Dolby. We did the whole thing on there. My dream tape deck, like everybody's, is the Nakamichi Dragon. I'll take one of those, please. It's like a grand use. It's like a 40-year-old tape deck that's like, you know, hundreds of dollars. And I want one. That I will make room. The Yamaha, as good as it is, can go to Goodwill or be passed along to somebody else if I get my hands on a Nakamichi Dragon. I did get my hands on a Nakamichi. I think it was a BX100 or a BX200. And it was only $15. And it was a Nakamichi. It was a 2-head machine. It wasn't 3-head. It was a white variant, early 80s, and it was yellowed. And then there was blood fingerprints on it. And somebody's like, just wipe them off. Who cares? This is like during COVID, germaphobe mode for everybody. I just was like, and then some days you're just not feeling it. You're like, I'm not into that. I don't want that today. Anyway, I passed up on the knock and kind of regret it. That was dumb. I should have just gone for it. Absolutely. Oh, that's cool. So you can get the adapters. That's cool. Really fun. Gunmetal guy, welcome in. See, I don't even know what the Barrett era is. That's how little I know. Okay, so what do we got going on? So we just reviewed the FIO record player. Man, you guys were harsh on that one. Jeez, it's just some lights, guys. I don't need lights on my record player. That's stupid. That's junk. I was laughing so hard reading the comments. People really weren't liking. I mean, some people thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. It's a decent record player. It plays records fine. It doesn't have anti-skate. I think people overstate the importance of anti-skate on an entry-level turntable, though. I mean, I think people really overstate that feature. Yeah, it's going to make a difference on higher-end stuff, but I would be hard-pressed. I would be surprised if anybody could hear the difference if they were doing a blindfold taste test, as it were. I think it's cool. I was going to put it on my right-hand side for right now. I got the LP70 over here. I'm bored of the LP70. I've had it here for a number of weeks. I'm just kind of bored of it. It's fine. It's a beautiful unit. It works great now. I did have to get it replaced. If you watch that whole saga, there was lubrication at the tone arm, whatever that means. It works fine. There's no problems with it. It's not skipping anymore. It's just kind of boring. I don't know. It sounds great. It's got this beautiful, is it a VMN 95 or something cartridge with a conical on it. It's a wonderful machine, but I'm thinking about putting something up here for right now to replace it. What do you think about a changer for 3-inch records? It would be a novelty, but it'd be a really cool one. I don't think there's any. They're 1-minute songs, so even a stack of 3-inch records would be like 3 minutes instead of 1. I don't think it's like my Technics stacker, Technics. That was also fun to do. You can put 6 records on this thing. It'll play all day. Now I will stop and start it if I have to join a meeting or something. But I'm just working in the background, chilling out on Excel, which is what I do for my day job. Then yeah, I can put on a stack of my Bing Sings Again or my one of my Glenn Miller sets or Remembering the 50s. I love the Reader's Digest sets. I love that stuff. Put that on and just forget about it, and you'll have music all day. You make a 3-inch changer. You got a very cool looking thing, a really, really cool looking thing, but it will last you for 3 to 5 minutes. So I would say that's a novelty. I would even more go down the rabbit hole of novelty. Reviews. What do we got coming? I've got some really cool stuff coming. I'm very excited to get my hands on. I was giddy this week. I was working with some potential partners on product review samples, and we've got some cool things coming. And always on the lookout to purchase something to review if it's worthy of your time. It's an interesting thing, the whole YouTube landscape of vinyl records, because it's a sort of a passively competitive landscape where you've got the handful of YouTube channels that are, I guess, mainstream. Most people have heard of them, and you'll see a record player come, or a tape player or something, and over the course of a month or two, everybody will review it. Well, that's because that company reached out and said, hey, Mr. YouTube person, would you like to review this product? And they either say yes or no, and then it comes on the show. And then you've got the other stuff that they do to like kind of come up with, a unique idea that nobody else is doing. So there's always like this competitive nature to try and be first. We've been first with a lot of record players to YouTube. We've brought a lot of the very first reviews to YouTube, which I'm very proud about. But just try to do it differently. People are still perplexed about the idea of this channel, like entry level. Why entry level when you can have high end level? Why don't I get the Rolls Royce instead of the Toyota? Like, of course, you fool. Why wouldn't you get a $500,000 car instead of that affordable one? Who cares if it gets you from point A to point B? Don't you know it'll destroy your whatever? Okay, the analogy only goes so far, but you know what I mean, right? It's entry level. The whole point of this channel is you can do it cheap. You can do it affordably. You don't have to have the best to enjoy it. You can listen to music. I am definitely a use your equipment to listen to music kind of guy versus use your music to listen to your equipment kind of guy. And you know what I mean? I am not an audiophile. I pride myself on not being an audiophile. I have nothing against audiophiles. I hope they're having fun doing that. I think it's cool. It's interesting. It's just not what we do here. The most expensive record player we've ever reviewed was my vertical record player, which is up there. I think they wanted $1,100 for that thing. Not saying it's worth it necessarily, but that was the asking price of that thing. We reviewed the Audio-Technica LP7, which was $800. We've reviewed Project made Crosley C10, which was $500 and change. A few $500, like maybe 2 or 3 other $500 turntables, some $300 stuff. But most of our bread and butter is $50 to $150, $250 max. That's kind of our. That's where you're going to find the bulk of our 1,000+ turntable reviews. That's the bulk. You guys are quiet. Ask some questions. Either the comments aren't coming through or it's just super quiet. You know what? While you're thinking of your question, I'm going to step away for a minute. I'll be right back. That was weird how it was like bright and blurry. It looked like the movies when you wake up from a dream. It's like, hello, you've been asleep. You've been asleep for like 3 hours now. Back here in good old 1955. I would like to introduce you guys to Yoshi the Bird. She, who we recently found out is a she, has been on the show quite a few times. And for everybody that says, turn off your smoke alarm. Your stupid smoke alarm needs a battery. This is the smoke alarm. So she is a green cheek conure, however you say it. Bigger than a parakeet and basically a small parrot. She's very vocal and she knows when dad is on a show and she gets really loud during that time. So when you hear her in the background, you hear a cheep, a squeak, a beep. She is able to pitch match alarms and it's real fun. It's really fun. Think twice before getting a bird. But we love her. She's our pal. We've had her now for 15 years and she's going strong. She is a very healthy bird. She has a lot of fun and she's good. She's really a sweetheart. Well, we thought she was male. And what ended up happening was literally when we bought her from this breeder, we were told, yeah, get the male. They're more docile. They're easier to train. They're gentler. They're calmer. Great with kids. Our kids were younger at the time. And so we got the male bird. And wasn't that like great with kids? I mean, she would sit on the shoulder and whatnot, but sometimes she didn't like it as much. So we were trying to figure out like what the deal was, and just kind of decided that she had a little bit more of a snippier personality sometimes, which is really interesting. We've had 3 different birds, and the other 2 super docile, but she was a little bit more not as docile sometimes. Like she doesn't want to get down right now. So anyway, so what we ended up doing was just kind of chalking it up to that's her personality. And then late last year, she had laid 2 eggs, which were obviously unfertilized. And so we're like, okay, I guess he is a she. So yeah, so she's my little assistant lighting engineer, and she likes to ride around on my shoulders and whatnot. So anyway, just thought I would introduce her to you. I'm gonna go ahead and put her back now, and I'll be right back. You've been asleep for nearly 4 hours now. Okay, so what's going on, you guys? Hey, Ray, welcome in. Oh, that's cool. I love birds. I love birds. Nikki says, would you still recommend the Audio-Technica LP70 after reissues? I would say no, honestly, because you shouldn't have. It's probably fine now for the foreseeable future. But if I was out there right now and choosing between those automatics, I would probably give it a pass just because I wouldn't want to chance it. I was out the record player for maybe 2 weeks, a week and a half while it was getting replaced. But it's not their best effort. The LP3 is the one I would go for that's got it's got a 1/2-inch mount, replaceable head shell, counterbalance, anti-skate adjustment, fully automatic. You can use any cartridge you want on it. And it's just a great, great unit. If it had a strobe or a pitch adjustment, it'd be perfect. As it is, you have to get under there with a tweaker tool. But the LP3 is the best. The LP70 is okay. It's cool. I do love the cartridge. There's a lot that I do love about it. And after the repair, it is working perfectly so far. But it was 6 months from the time I got it to when it, I won't really know for 6 more months. That's what I'm trying to say. But I would go, if you're not so like stuck on the cartridge, that's the biggest difference, I would say. The Sony LX, what is it? BXLX 310, Sony 310. Just type that in. and you'll find it. It's a fantastic unit. In fact, I'll put a link for you here. The only thing is it's got a, you're stuck with the Audio-Technica 3600 cartridge, which now you can upgrade the stylus to elliptical. So you've got an elliptical stylus, or you can go with the conical. But there's the link right there. That's the one I bought. So I bought that one. I like that a lot. I was using that while the LP70 was at the shop, and I might put that back over here. I really like it. LP60X is always good. It's as good as the Sony. It's just a different style. If you like the look of that one better, go for the LP60X. They're still making them. It's still a new model. It's just, it's the same thing. It's a 3600 cartridge, and you can upgrade the stylus to elliptical if you want. And it won't, even though it's an elliptical tracking, you know, a little heavier because the 3600 tracks a little heavier, it's not going to cause any damage or anything. It's a great unit. Fully automatic. It's got there's a Bluetooth model, a non-Bluetooth model. If you get the Walmart branded one, the LP Go, which is the same thing, you can save a few bucks. That's the one I got recently. I've got a LP60X Bluetooth that I got at a garage sale for 40 bucks. I don't know how, that was like 2-3 years ago. So the thing was almost new. I don't know why that ended up happening. Somebody really just changed their mind on vinyl. It's great. It's a little bit of cosmetic stuff, little scratches on the dust cover, but it works perfectly. And then I've got the LP Go, which is the same thing, but branded a little differently. And it's small. Like I always say, the LP60 is the size of an LP. It's the most space economical. I might put that over here. It's so space saving. It's great. It's a fantastic one. So I would go one of those three. The Crosley and the Victrola, I don't like as much. They use that new automatic turntable mechanism that we saw with the FIO. So there you go. That has instead of the mechanics under the hood driving it, where it's powered by the rotation of the platter, it's actually powered by a motor, the tone arm automatic movement. It has an extra motor in there. So it's a little slower. You get this little motor. It works fine. I think there's more electronics to go wrong with that. Just not my favorite. So the Crosley C300 automatic, you can see the review we did of that. The Victrola, what do they call theirs? Victrola automatic, very similar. And then this FIO, also somewhat similar. Carcass says, I just sent my ATLPX70 back to the service replaced. And by the way, they replaced mine. They didn't service it. This was a new unit. Supposedly, the ones you're buying now supposedly are the newer. I don't think there's a model number designation, but supposedly all the new ones now have the properly applied lubrication. But just sent my audio. Yeah, it's good. About a week or two, and you'll get it back, and you'll be glad. Ray, that's interesting. So a lot of people have said that. They're like, I just upgraded the LP120. Here's my question, and please answer me, anybody that's done this. You upgraded from an automatic turntable to a manual turntable. Yes, the LP20 is a much better turntable. Just it's more rugged. It's made by the same company. It's made by the exact same company, but it's a better model. It's rugged. And if you get the Panasonic, if you get the Crosley, if you get the Audio-Technica, they're all made by the same company, come out of the same factory, hand-pin turntables of Malaysia. And they're good. They're really good. The only difference is the Crosley one isn't, they don't have the sheet metal in it, the heavy sheet metal. But as long as you're not in a disco or a nightclub playing it, you're not going to notice the difference. But my question is this. People are always like, which one, LP60 or 70 or an LP120? Well, the LP120 is fully manual. Fully manual. And people are like, oh, I upgraded from the 60 to the 120. Weren't you sad to lose the automatic functionality? For me, one of the best parts of the 60 and 70 is the auto start and stop and the full automatic functionality. Push a button, it works. It does everything. That's an incredible feature that just happens to be on a lot of these entry-level players. And then you go up a step to the 120 and it's fully manual. So I'm surprised that people are so happy. Not that that's bad. I love that. I have a PLX 500. Same idea, basically. But you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't compare it in any way to an automatic. If I missed any comments, I apologize. Wait, did you say this is a 50-hour live? No, I did not. She's always trying to get me to do these challenges. Do a 24-hour live. And now we're going to the bathroom. No, we're not doing that. I don't want to do that. Nobody wants that. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. A mod's nightmare. Yeah, exactly. Moderators, you're not going anywhere. 24 hours. Why Lee? I'm going to answer that question. I love that question. I love that question. And I will talk. Everybody's like, oh boy, here he goes. Bathroom break, everybody. Go get some popcorn or something. Let me get through the other comments to get up to speed because I'm going to fall behind answering his question. Second, I wish there was a modern turntable that has 3 speeds and automatic. That would be cool, dude. I agree. I would love to do the 78 on it. I agree. Yeah, this is my 78 player of choice right now, the 49 Bilko up there. LP120X, not belt. And see, that's true. It's not belt driven, it's direct drive. Same thing with the PLX. Crosley's C200 is also direct drive. Their C100 is belt driven. I'm also not a huge got to be belt or got to be direct drive person. I just don't care as much about that. And I know the traditional thing they say, you know, the belt can wear out, the belt could stretch, the speeds could vary because of the belt stretching. Then you got the people on the other side that says direct drive has motor noise, there's more rumble, there's more noise. But the newer direct drive motors are silent, they're impeccable. The newer belts are so cheap that it would take 35 seconds to replace it, and it cost you less than $10 to do it. I haven't ever had a belt snap on me. I've been doing this since 2017, well, 15, and then the show since 17. I have not once had a belt snap on me. The only time I've ever put a new belt on is if I got a turntable used, like my Technics, that had a bad belt or a missing belt, or a vintage unit that had a bad belt. But I've never had a new unit belt break. And that goes for the suitcases too, ever. So I've just never been a huge, like, I'm only direct drive or I'm only belt drive. Rambling Wolfman. I like that. So, that's an interesting idea. Could they pin it to a serial number range? I don't know how I don't know what the fit, if it's just putting lubrication in. I was thinking about that. I'm like, it'll make an interesting show. But then I'm like, you know what? It's under warranty. It's their problem. Besides, if we're being honest, I'm not good at fixing stuff. I've tried my hand at it. I remember I was going to do this whole thing over the summer where was it the summer? No, it was late last winter. I was going to do this whole thing about restoring these record players, including this one. I got this one in unrestored condition, and I ended up sending it to my buddy. He recapped. Well, actually, it turns out it was recapped. He checked the tubes, replaced 1 or 2 of the tubes. He cleaned it up. He relubricated it, made sure everything was working. We put a new speaker in it, did all this stuff, and it's in perfect working order now. It needs matching knobs, but that's another story for another day. And it works as good as it did brand new. That's more my style. I'd rather show you when it was new or when it was restored after the fact. I can solder, I can replace caps, I can do things, but I'm more of a lubrication, belt changing, put on the cartridge kind of a person. There's plenty of YouTubers out there that do more and are way more experienced than me, but that's just not my area of expertise. Same thing. I walk away and forget, or maybe you just want to rest and like fall asleep to a record. So you must have, okay, so you've got the original LP 120, Janet. That's what I've heard, that the original LP 120 does have a little motor noise. That's also the one that people discovered the preamp wasn't really off when you switched it off. It was filtering. So people were like surgically removing their preamps. I asked the guy about that at CES. He's like, yeah, that was real. He's like, we really had to redesign that. So the LP 120X series has a truly bypassed preamp circuit. The motor noise has been fixed. LP5X, yeah, those are cool. I had the 7 LP7. What did I have? LP7. I think it was a 7. I tried modding it to be a transcription player. It didn't go well. Now, ironically, the $1,000 record player does play transcriptions. It does. It's a cheap record player. If it wasn't listed at $1,000, I would say, yes, this is a $150 to $250 record player. It's not bad. It's just, I don't think it justifies that price. But I don't know what kind of quantities or, what things. It sounds okay. It's got built-in speakers. You could also connect to something else. But it's just got a 3600 on there. It's a tabbed head shell. I could put on something else. But for this purpose, it's just fine. I like to put a picture disc up there. It's fun to listen to sometimes. Anti-skate. Oh, yeah. That was another thing. The original LP120s, the anti-skate didn't do anything. They fixed that too. I had the LP3. I missed that thing. I did break the dust cover on it. Ended up donating it or selling it back in Denver before we moved here. Oh, yeah, the clunk. The old reassuring clunk, Maximilian. That's cool. Yeah, both my grandparents had the consoles, too. All right, everybody, it's bathroom break time, snack time, because I'm answering this wonderful question by Wiley. I'm new here, so what's the backstory on how you came to love Patsy Cline? I'm sure you've probably done a video on it. Yes, I have. Yeah. Oh, yours works, Janet. That's good. So maybe it was only some people had that problem. So here's how I discovered Patsy Cline. I was aware of Patsy Cline, kind of like I'm aware of Pink Floyd now. It's starting to storm up out there. I was supposed to do that all day. I was aware of her, and I just thought of her as somebody that was dressed in like this cowboy, kind of kitschy cowboy attire, kind of 50s cowboy music. That's the extent. I probably couldn't even have named any songs. That was me in like 2018, 2019. I'd say 2018. In my deep diving of artists, sometimes it leads me from one artist to another, and I kind of snake through the histories of the intersecting third-party players that play a part in different music. So Glenn Miller, I've been a huge Glenn Miller fan. Oh, the lighting is going down, so the focus is a little softer. Sorry. Being a huge Glenn Miller fan, I learned that there was a period when the female singer for the Glenn Miller Orchestra, Marion Hutton, was unable to perform with the band for a couple of weeks. So they brought up this girl. She was only like 15 or 16 from Tennessee to play with the band. They were always on the road. So I forget where they were. They were in New York. I think they were in New York at the time. Yeah, they must have been in New York at the time. And her name was Kay Starr. And I really liked the Kay Starr Glenn Miller songs. And the reason why there were some was because during the 2 weeks she was with the band, they happened to be in the studio, because she happened to be the female singer during that time. Well, they used her. So she appears on 2 and only 2 Glenn Miller songs. Love with a capital U and Baby Me. Love with a capital U and Baby Me. And they're great songs. So then I'm like, well, maybe I should see what happened to Kay Starr. So that led me onto this Kay Starr kick. And I started picking up Kay Starr records. And I did like the music. It was good. And it was fun to learn the history. And in learning that history, I found out that Kay Starr was actually, no, that Kay Starr had a fan in Patsy Cline. Patsy Cline was a big fan of Kay Starr and had Kay Starr records. And then I was like, oh yeah, Patsy Cline. I think I know of her. And furthering this, I had picked up a Patsy Cline record few months before, and it was showcased, the second variant, and I was like, I have a Patsy Cline record. Maybe I should give that a listen. If K Star liked Patsy Cline, or I should say, if Patsy Cline likes K Star, then there's probably some connection there that was worth checking out. And I thought, okay, I'll check that out. So I went and I picked it up in a free bin. I've got an ongoing challenge to, if anybody can figure it out, you'll get a big hearty thank you from me. What video I first showed, it was a crate digging video. I thought it was from a free bin in like back when in Denver they had Second and Charles, which is the same company as Books A Million, but music instead of just books. And I thought it was in one of their free bins that I picked this thing up. And I was like, I know this artist. Heck it, I'll just take this, and never listened to it. So I had acquired, and anyway, if you find that video, you're going to get a big thanks from me, because I have lost that video. It's somewhere out there in the ether. Thousands of videos we've done now. I've lost it. I have no idea. It would have been somewhere around late 2017 through mid 2018, I think. As late 2018, somewhere around that range. There's been so many videos. But anyway, so I had this record, and I'm like, oh, check this out. So I put on Patsy Cline, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. I like her singing way better even than K Star. And that's where it began. And I just went down this rabbit hole, man, and I collected them all. I've got almost every LP. I've got all the albums. I've got probably 30 Patsy Cline CDs, if not 40. I've got her first LP, which is 1957, self-titled one right there. The first variant on the black and silver Decca. I've got her first single up here on this wall up there, the Coral Records. That was hard to find. And I've just really enjoyed the process. This thing on there, right? I hate webcams. They don't feel like they're ever on the... Why is it up so high? If you look at the webcam wrong, it'll just fly off. Stay there. Anyway, collected all these albums, tapes, CDs, and I've just loved it. And if you are into Patsy Cline, I want you to know that there is big news on the horizon, because I had made acquaintance. I had introduced myself to a guy named George Hewitt, who runs a Patsy Cline forum, not a forum, a Patsy Cline discography webpage, where he has gone through and created a complete discography of Patsy Cline stuff. Every record, every variant, everything. And as I was collecting, it was very helpful. I touched base with him and learned some amazing things. He's the one that was telling me about what happened to the master tapes, and the master tape to the greatest hits survived because it was in Nashville at the time, but all the other ones were destroyed. He and I have since learned that there probably are more surviving master materials than we thought, which is good. An album reel of Showcase, which is the album I incidentally picked up. At the time, I thought it was the greatest hits album. It was really her second album. But Showcase, they did a Vinyl Me Please version, a tricolor with the original cover. Vinyl Me Please did that a couple of years ago. And that was made off of a found copy of a mono Canadian album reel. And that was fascinating. That was the first like new release in quite some time that had been done. That was like new special. Well, I shouldn't say it. There's a lot of special edition stuff, especially UK stuff. And then come to find out that George and a guy named Dylan Utz, Utz, had been working in secret. And I didn't know anything about it until it was publicly released. I didn't know anything about it. That they had been working on this project called Patsy Cline, The Lost. I should know the name of this. Hold on. I'll even show you a sneak peek of the album cover. It's not really a sneak peek because anybody can see it now, but that's not it. Okay. It's called, well, that is not it. This is what the album cover looks like. It doesn't show up on camera, but that's what the album cover. Whoa, did that superimpose? Apple Music. Okay, no, it's reflecting. I thought it was superimposing Apple Music on there. Anyway, that's the cover to the album, and they've released a couple of singles on Apple Music on YouTube, and it's basically I think it's the Lost recordings. I want to say that. Yeah, I think it's the Lost recordings. Imagine that, the Lost recordings. Okay, here's the actual cover, not the single cover. And I was chilling out one day recently, and I was looking through the RSD Record Store Day releases, and my eyes just about popped out of my head. Maximilian, no. I will break my rule of no gifts accepted if anybody wants to send me a Patsy Cline 78. That's my grail record. Patsy Cline 78s. I don't have them. If I get a hold of them, I will make an exception to my rule. Please email me if you have a 78 of Patsy Cline, okay? And if you want to donate that. I have to. I make the rule. I can break the rule. Okay, so I found out about this. I'm like, what's going on? And come to find out, Dylan's involved, who I didn't know at the time, and the other guy, the discographer guy, George Hewitt, was involved. I contacted him, and pretty soon all this news got released, and it's this huge project. So apparently they had all these collectors send in transcriptions from all the radio shows and programs that she live appearances, all of these transcription records that have never been released commercially, some of which have been on YouTube and things, but at very low quality levels. Like her performance of Let It Snow, recorded in Springfield, Missouri on a TV show. Very low quality, but they got a hold of all of the originals, including, and I'm really excited, I think there's 2 songs from the Fernwood demo. And if you are a Patsy Cline deep level collector, you may know about the Fernwood tape. And that's a legendary thing. I'm not going to go into it, but there's a couple things from the Fernwood. So super rare. It's a gold mine of never heard, very rare stuff. And it's going to be released next month on double disc vinyl, gatefold, with an incredible 60-page booklet. I've seen pictures of the booklet. They've got all the record labels and stuff, all kinds of commentary and copy written up. And yeah. Oh, now you're going to bounce on me. I'm answering your question, Lee. Sit down. You're not done yet. And the CD is going to be released streaming. All right, there we go. He's out of he left, so I'm not even answering the question. I just messed with you guys. This guy's mean. No, I'm just teasing you. All right, let's see. Janet says, I discovered Patsy Cline back in my 20s when I worked for a guy who loved her music. We had a radio in the office, tuned an oldie station that played Patsy songs. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, Janet. I'll have to check that out. I think I've been told about that before, Maximilian. I have to check that out. STP. I probably have it already, STP. Is it The Lost? Ironically, the same title as the Patsy Cline, like Lost Recordings or something. Hold on a second. Let me see if it's the one I think it is. One of the best all-time ever Glenn Miller albums. You've been asleep for nearly 3 hours. The Lost Recordings. This is prime mid-90s Glenn Miller music. These are fantastic recordings of the Army Band. Don't get me started on this. And this tape actually says, yeah, Dolby S NR HX Pro. Okay, let me ask you. This is tape number 1. Do you have tape number 2? I have tape number 1. I would love to have tape number 2, man. If you have tape number 2, I will break the rule. Here I am breaking the rule. My wife is going to kill me. She'd be like, you can't do that. It's the first song in the mood. Yeah, so this is tape 1. In the Mood is the first song. Oh, it's the same one. Okay. Well, thank you for the offer. I appreciate it. Isn't that weird? And so, yeah, this is type 2. I think this is chrome tape. Look how dark it is. Beautiful tape mixture. Premium tape mixture, but it's in a type 1 shell. It's in a type 1 shell. But that's still good. A type 2 or type 4 or even a type 3 cassette tape mixture at a type 1 EQ is still going to sound better than a type 1 tape. Ramblin' Wolf. Oh, that's cool, man. Isn't it fun to learn? And it was totally like I didn't originally know anything. Like I said, I knew nothing. It was fun to learn, and the process was the best part. Like I was having more fun while I was learning and acquiring than I do now at the end of it, having everything nearly. Oh, that's nice of you, man. You don't have to, but thank you. Yeah, email me. That's so cool. That's so cool. So yeah, what else do you guys want to know? I try to think of what else. So we're gonna work on the reviews. We got more stuff to review. I've got a bunch of show ideas. New products are on the way. This is sort of the lull season of the year. Record-ology peaks Christmas Day every year. It's always our best day, biggest day of the year, which is easy to understand why. People are getting record players for Christmas. People are shopping for record players. And yeah, so that's a whole thing. But I'm trying to think of what else. So we got that going on. Got some ideas for shorts. I have 1 or 2 shorts recorded that I need to post. And that's really about it, what's going on right now. Oh, yes. I'll be going to Record Store Days. Hey, old radios. You joined at the end, man. We did an hour and a half already. And I don't blame you for not being here because the notification thing sucks. The radio is awesome, man. Everything you sent me is incredible. I'm sorry. I'll post it, though. You can watch the replay. No, the radio is incredible. It is like all that stuff. It's incredible. I love it so very. In fact, right before we went on at the beginning of the show, I was jamming this out. Look at that. That's autographed by Alex Mendham. Second Chance Junkyard, among many, 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 many of you, have blessed me, and that's why I cannot accept anything else. I am too blessed. I don't have room for anything else because I will make room, and I don't want to be a hoarder. I don't want to be a hoarder. I don't want to be a hoarder. I don't want to stay married, and those two things are definitely tied into each other. I can't be married and be a hoarder. So I want to stay married. Therefore, I can't be a hoarder. Therefore, I won't be a hoarder. Therefore, I can't accept anything else unless you have Patsy Cline on 78, or I make another exception. Anyway, incredible, dude. A fascinating rhythm. So I said earlier on in the show, and I recommend it again if you're just joining us, do yourself a favor, go on YouTube and look up, is it on this one? No, maybe it's not on this one. Oh, it's on this one. Another gift. Go look up Let Yourself Go, the second song on there. Let Yourself Go on YouTube by Alex Mendham. It's great. You will like it. I love it. Fantastic. Yeah, you've been so kind, dude. I mean, just like incredible. I'll be going to Record Store Day. Like I said, I need the Patsy Cline release. I also am going to I need it. I also need probably to get the Peanuts lavender Easter Beagle vinyl. That looks really cool. Vinyl? Did I just say that? Record. Excuse me. I need to wash my mouth out with soap. Okay, we're good. Record. Tell your wife you're bringing home more records just to be annoying. Trust me, I don't need to say that in order to be annoying. I'm inherently good at that. You have an autographed tape of Weird Al? That's cool. I love Weird Al. My son and I went to see Weird Al a few years ago. Not the latest album, the one before that. Would have been about 20. What year was that? It would have been about 2012, 2013. We went and saw him in Colorado. It was great. He was one of the few artists that sounded as good live as he did on the albums. It was amazing. Really talented. Great show. Very just an entertainer. Old Radio's getting a Zenith Transoceanic. Those are cool, dude. I love those transoceanic radios. Those are cool. If you lost all of your physical media, what would be your first? I've talked about this. I don't think I could do it again. I honestly would probably just go with streaming and been like, well, that was fun. I just couldn't do it. There's so many one-of-a-kind, autographed, unique things. They're all having memories too. Like every record that I've acquired, I remember the acquisition. I could tell you where I got it in most cases, except for that Patsy Cline record, ironically. But so many like gifts from viewers and friends and family. I have a lot of emotional connection to the physical asset itself and the music. So it would be heartbreaking if I lost it all and then had to start over again, because I don't think I could ever do that. First of all, I wouldn't want to burden my family with having to go through the cost and just the inconvenience of it all again. And number two, I knew I would never be able to do it again. It's like when you type a paper or an email and you delete it by accident and you have to you feel awful and you're like, oh, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. And the second one's never as good. You're like, I'm just not hitting home these points. I feel like that's what would happen. So I think I would just go streaming. I'd be like, it's digital for me. And I had that experience. It was awesome. I'll never forget those memories. But also part of me would probably be relieved because my family, my son's into vinyl, but he's not like me into vinyl, understandably. And everybody else in the family thinks it's fun that I'm into it for my own sake, but they're not into it for their own sake. Like they wouldn't have any of this if it weren't for me. And so what I'm trying to say is that I don't want to burden my family with all of this stuff. And I have been on the receiving end of people that have gifted stuff that you then have to deal with. And you hear about people like selling off records from an estate, and it's taking years to get rid of it all and stuff like this. I just don't want to be that burden. So I'd be also kind of relieved, I guess, in that scenario that, well, at least they won't have to, do with all that stuff. We all annoy our wives. It's what we do. We all come together and annoy our significant others, or we annoy ourselves, or the people we meet. That's cool, STV World. Thank you so much. You don't need to, but if you do find it, I probably wouldn't say no. Got a Concord HES 35 cassette receiver thing. Oh, the Cassiever. The cassette receiver, the Cassiever. 1960. I need belts. Like one of my first sound systems was an old hand-me-down Sears Cassiever with the record player, the BSR record player, the big radio dial, and then the cassette deck in the corner with the mechanical piano keys. But here's the thing: if you want to repair the belts, you probably could. You could probably squirt some, lubrication in there. Whether that's liquid, all-in-one oil, WD-40. Did you say WD-40? You can't use that. That's not oil. Don't use WD-40. It works fine. It works fine. It's fine. WD-40 is a lubricant and a cleaning solvent thing. It works fine. It's not the best, but it works. As a kid, when my bike was squeaking, when the lubrication dried up on the cassette, which is what you call that thing with all the gears, it just a little WD-40 fixed it all. It was oily, drippy in the garage. My parents love that. And it works wonders on record players too. People, you're not allowed to if you're in this community, you're not allowed to accept WD-40 as a lubricant. It's an unspoken truth. You can't like WD-40. We hate WD-40. We hate Crosley. We hate picture discs, and you're not allowed to enjoy any of those things. So anyway, put some WD-40 on it. Or better yet, some 3-in-1 household oil, some white lithium grease. Buy a tube of white lithium grease. Order the belts because there's belts for everything on eBay. They'll probably be working like new. You should buy me some expensive vintage records. And see, that's the thing. I don't want anybody to feel that. How do I say this? How do I say this? I just don't need anything. Okay, I don't need anything. I appreciate. I'm humbled. You guys are so nice, but I just don't send me anything. I don't need it. You guys should keep it, and I am very satiated and content, and I'm so blessed, so thankful for you, and for your wanting to give me something, and for you having done that. But I just don't need anything, and I thank you so much for it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Janet, streaming. I mean, I do listen to streaming now in the car, um, jogging, if I'm, at the gym. I do listen to it for convenience sake. It's also a good, cheap way to discover music. And I do agree that there's a sadness to that, I guess. But at the same time, it also affords other things like the ability to acquire things cheaper, to get more faster. And I love a lot of old music and things and old radio shows. So for me, digital has always been and always will be a part of it. And I would definitely miss the records, but I also, especially after the health issues that I've gone through over the last year and a half, I also feel like I have a better perspective for things. Things are things. Things are things. Feeling good when you wake up, feeling healthy, having people that love you, having people that you love, giving things to other people, um, taking care of people, and mostly love is so much more valuable than stuff that I don't think I'd be really that sad if I lost anything per se. Maybe superficially, but deeply when you are brought down to the level of fighting for your life, it just changes your perspective in a way that you can't understand unless you have done it, been through it. It's $1 million experience you wouldn't pay a cent for. A hospital bed really puts things into perspective. Exactly, Whiskey Bay. And that was me. Multiple hospital stays, multiple surgeries, diagnosis, out of the blue, treatments, harsh treatments. I haven't talked about it very much at all, but go NPO for a day or two or more and tell me that cold water isn't the best and most important thing on the planet, in the world. There's nothing. I would have sold all of my records happily for a drink of cold water. Yeah. That's cool, STB World. That's really neat. Hi from New Zealand. I just picked up a cassette Monkey Special for $1. That's cool. Armed Forces Radio. I have a couple AFRS transcription discs. Marcus says, I'm about to start reading Glenn Miller Declassified by Dennis Sprague. Do I have my copy down here? Do that. It's a great book. It's very, it'll remind you of, how do I say this? It's a scholarly work, and it's a masterfully written book. It's very entertaining, and I think that you will really enjoy it. Hey, Scott, welcome in. Also, yeah, the new Glenn Miller CD is coming out in June for a Glenn Miller Festival in Clarinda, Iowa. They are releasing Volume 2. And if you didn't get Volume 1, you're missing out. Hold on, I got to show you that. I have to show it to you again. Scott's like, really? We're doing this again? I'm just so excited for Volume 2. I'm still not, I still haven't got to the point of the way it comes back, like from a dream sequence. I think he's waking up. He's awake. He's awake. If you're a Glenn Miller fan, get this record. Get this disc. I wish it was a record. It's only a CD. This is all stuff that has never been heard like it has been presented. And the packaging is top notch. They're primarily from a collection of Harry Smith transcriptions and WOR transcription discs. It's nothing you've ever heard before, at least not in this quality. And it's all been remastered. It's got a thick booklet. This is physical media, guys. This is here I got done telling you why streaming was good enough, and now I'm selling you on physical media. The booklet is full of pictures, some of which as a Glenn Miller, like everybody's seen this picture of the gold record, Chattanooga Choo Choo, 1.2 million copies sold, which resides up in, although right now it's not on display, but it's up at the Glenn Miller Collections display up in Boulder, Colorado at the old main building, which is the building in the Glenn Miller story where the Glee Club is rehearsing. And they renovated it. This display has not been put back on display, but I got to see the Glenn Miller Collections. I toured it. And here's something I bet you didn't know. I actually got to ride around with Steve Miller, Glenn Miller's son, in about 1999. And I rode around with him and Alan Cass, who at the time led up the Glenn Miller archive. And I got to ride around with them in my Camaro. And Steve was the guy that Sony went to get the okay on releasing stuff. Like, Steve was the guy. And the funny thing is I actually, it's a long story, but let me just say this. I got a private tour by Glenn Miller's son of the Glenn Miller archive. Bandstands, pictures, records, films, an archive like nobody's ever seen before. Part of that is on display, including a lot of gold records that I got to see, including the gold record. So all of that to say this, if you want to see that video, I'm going to put a link in the description here. But yeah, volume 2 of this CD set is coming out for the Glenn Miller Festival in Clarinda. I will not be there. I have never been to Clarinda. I would love to. But here, let me find the link of this video. I toured the Glenn Miller archive, or the Glenn Miller. I'll show you the disc, and a couple filming locations. That I got to tour up there as well. Okay, so there's a 2-part. Wow, I looked young. So the world's first gold record. After I'm done with this live, I'm about to end this. And you guys can go watch this. Click on this link. You can also just Google search first gold record on my channel. And I did 2 videos. Glenn Miller story filming location, which is part 1. Check that out. It's only a 4-minute video. Part 2 is a 12-minute video. Glenn Miller story filming location, part 2, and the first gold record. And see me with a lot less gray. It was filmed 6 years ago. And you'll really enjoy that. I think that is the first gold record. I got to see that. Yeah, anyway, there you go. What was the name of the last turntable you had on your last video? That was the FIO TT13. FIO, F-I-I-O. Yeah, that CD is cool, isn't it, Scott? Oh yeah, Maximilian already put it in here. I'm behind the thing. Yeah, so I've seen a few of his trombones. It's just incredible. You know what? We should open that up. Let's open that up. Super Dogs, I'm adding that to my big book of show ideas. Why not? Everybody was like furious about the lack of anti-skate. We're going to open it up. See if there is any. Maybe it was just really lightly applied. TT13 anti-skate. I still think it's cool. I think the lights are cool. I like lights. I've got an LED light strip that goes under my desk shelf here that I always have lit up in a different color. I guess we all did have less green. All right, my friends, we've got almost 2 hours. That's enough for anybody. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody for being there, for all of your support. I want to reiterate that just because I'm no longer taking donations of records to record players from viewers, that does not impact any way whatsoever the frequency, intensity, and quantity of record player reviews that we're going to be doing on the channel. The supply chain of that is unaffected. I simply just don't have room for more stuff. I just don't have room for more. As much as I would want it, I can't let the collection grow anymore until I've downsized it or until I buy a bigger house. The house I bought has a finite amount of room, and we have reached max capacity. And I want to remain married, so there will not be records in the kitchen, living room, dining room, etc. So, all that to say, be on the lookout for a lot more cool shows. If you join late, we'll post the replay so you can jump on and watch that as well. I think it'll be ready a few minutes after I end the live here. I would recommend it's Super Dogs. And the anti-skate is a bit of a bummer, but it's not a complete deal breaker to me. A lot of people say it is, but you're not going to hear a difference. You're just not going to hear a difference. All right, guys. I appreciate you. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Like, share, and subscribe, as Jerry says. Thank you, and take care. We'll be back with more before you know it.